Welcome to the Wanderful Pair, where two agents with very different perspectives collide. I'm Jess, queen of couples getaways, and this is Tracy, the magical mama, conquering family travel with a sprinkle of chaos. We're bringing you unique insights, experiences, whether you're dreaming of a child-free adventure or planning a family vacation. Each week, we kick off things with travel tidbits, highlighting the latest travel news or sharing some amazing recent client trips we've worked on. Then we'll dive into a segment called Beyond the Booking, where we chat about our life outside of the travel agency. So buckle up and get ready to explore with the Wanderful Pair, because we're about to make your wanderlust dreams a reality. Hi, Tracy. How are you?
How are you? So good to see your face.
Hopefully this echo is just on my side. I'm not sure what's going on. It might just be my imagination. But yeah, how's your day going?
It's going good. I woke up with lots of energy today, despite sleeping. Or actually, we're addicted to the show Severance, so we didn't go to bed until almost 12:30 a.m.
Is that the one on Apple TV?
It's the one on Apple TV. It's amazing, original, enthralling. For me, it started off real slow in the beginning, but then I got completely addicted. And now I'm glad I just got into it now, because the first season was filmed came out in 2022. So people that got addicted early had to wait 3 years for the cliffhanger, which was amazing. The final episode was amazing. So, yeah.
I did. So I was one of those who watched it when it came out, and I have not re-upped my Apple TV. So I need to do that.
It's so good.
I may or may not, I probably shouldn't say that on a recording, borrow my HBO from a family member, and I need to catch up on White Lotus, because I also was obsessed with that.
Oh, yes. I am very, after the Jennifer Coolidge second season, I haven't gone back, because I love her so much.
That is it. No, but I'm very much into books these days. So the TV has kind of fallen by the wayside, which is probably better for me to actually read instead. I guess that's, I guess that. But I want to talk not about books or TV, but I want to talk about the Disney treasure, because we were chatting when we were both in Disney a couple of weeks ago, and you were telling me all about the newest cruise line, the newest Disney cruise, and I am obsessed and really sad that I didn't get to go with you. So I want to hear all about the treasure, and especially the Haunted Mansion bar. So when did you go?
You can't see
Are
it.
You really? I want to see that. Where's the clock? Where's the clock, you guys?
Oh, the clock is on my mantle.
I want to see a picture. I want to see a picture.
I can run and get it. But
so who went with you and all this stuff?
So I always advocate cruises for big groups, solo travelers. Cruising is for everyone, but if you have a multi-generational family, or you have a bunch of friends that want to go, and maybe like you don't have kids, but your friends have kids, it's just such a great vacation to do together, because there's always something for everybody to do. And you're in the same destination, but you're not necessarily spending every waking moment together. It's just very easy to coordinate. Disney makes it very easy for families to cruise together. I will say I wish they made it easier, depending on what your castaway status was. So we cruised with friends. We had 3 cabins, and it was amazing. All different ages. So my children are 7 and 9. Our friend's child was 5, and then our other friend's children were 14 and 13. So, different ages for the kids, different personalities for the kids, for the parents, and we had an amazing, wonderful time. My friend that went with us, that was an avid Disney cruiser, she's a Gold Club member. So she got to book all her stuff beforehand, and we all kind of picked the excursions we wanted to do together. And I had to wait and kind of hope they didn't sell out.
So hold on. So talk a little bit more about the different, like the Castaway Club, like levels. Like it's based on how many times you've cruised, right?
Based on how many times you've cruised. We're silver. It takes quite a few to get to gold, and then a few more to get to platinum. They've been cruising DCL for years, since their children were very young. They are not park people, so they've always preferred the cruise lines. They've done the Marvel Day at Sea, Star Wars Day at Sea, They've been on almost every ship, I believe, in the fleet except for the Wonder. But this is their first time trying the newer ships, so I was really excited to get their feedback. So their gold status, we're silver. So she got to book before me.
Like how early? Like, so I know I don't have a status, but my in-laws are also silver. So
I honestly don't know off the top of my head, but I feel like she booked a month or so before me.
Right. So stuff may sell out, which is a bummer. Like, yes. So you guys, did you get on all of the excursions that you wanted?
Yeah, okay. We did. Thankfully. So that worked out. They do make it easy for you to eat together, which is great. So
did they you tied the reservation, all your reservations together, so you all got assigned the same
reservations. It's kind of similar like how it is when you go on a Disney World vacation together and you're all kind of linked. What was amazing about this is I booked this all about a year in advance. There were very few cabins on the ship left at the year mark because it's a brand new. I think we were on like the 6th or 7th sailing. So we were immediately put on the 8:15 time slot for dinner, which doesn't really work for my kids, doesn't work for the 5-year-old. And so I waitlisted all of us immediately. And then about 2 to 3 weeks before we left, we were upgraded to the 5:45 seating. So all of us were. And we got to sit together at dinner every night. So it was really nice because if you're doing different things and you don't get to spend that much time together, like we would do dinner together and then the kids would go to the kids club and then we would go do adult things for the rest of the night. So it was awesome.
Well, it's really similar to the way that like when we travel with a large group and when we book groups with our clients, we say to pick one sit down dinner at the park. So you know that no matter what you're doing during the day, you'll at least have some time to connect like as a group, but you're not tied to all of the activities. So I think that's similar concept to like everyone having the same dining on the cruise ship. That's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the cruising obviously is a little bit more, you're a little bit more relaxed. Although I will say, I think the big difference about Disney Cruise Line compared to others is because you have the 2 standard dining times, it's a little more scheduled than some of the other cruise lines. So for some people, that's, a negative. They like to have like my time dining or not be tied to a specific schedule. But for Disney, because they value their rotational dining so much and they put a high emphasis on the quality of the entertainment, the service, and the food, that's why they have the rotational dining in place. And it's nice because, I think everything about it was amazing. We actually loved our service so much that we had to get a group photo at the end of it. But they know all your preferences. They were, one of the children was a very picky eater, didn't like anything on the kids menu. And for those of you that don't know, if you ever go on a Disney cruise and your child doesn't like anything on the kids menu, they could always order a child-sized version of anything that's on the adult menu. There's no extra charge for that. It's not considered a big deal. The server will usually offer that anyway. So, but he didn't like anything on the kids menu. He had very specific things that he only ate. So they accommodated him. So basically, he had a cup of blueberries, bacon, and chicken cutlet every night. That's what he wanted. So they were able to accommodate him. But if you are unable to make your rotational dining, or you're out on an excursion and you want to stay until because a lot of times the excursions will end around 4:00, 4:45. Or and you have to be on the boat around that time, which doesn't really leave a lot of wiggle room for if you're in the first seating for dinner. You can always just do room service. Usually the Lido deck, the food on the Lido deck is usually open to about 7 or so. So there's plenty of options for food. So that's the nice thing about it too, is that if you do want to have a day where you just don't want to do the rotational dining, which are 7-night cruises, I think that's totally fine. You're not, I don't feel like you're missing, you don't feel like you're missing something. If you just want to stay out and enjoy the port a little bit more, there's always options. Like no one's going to go hungry. Like there's always options. Yeah. And room service is included. So the only thing for room service is to be mindful of is that they will charge you for things like bottled water and a can of soda. So
because Disney includes sodas, it's free sodas.
So yeah, I mean, so it's a convenience thing. If you want, you can go up. I always bring reusable water bottles. You can go up to the Lidl deck and fill them up. And then, or you can pay $1 to have a soda brought to you. It's, it's totally up to you. But I know most people were concerned about possibly missing the rotational dining. Nobody ever did because we just had a great time. But there was some early on. The other couple we cruised with was the first time cruisers, never mind DCL cruisers, first time cruisers. So, but yeah,
what did they think?
They absolutely, we're planning our next one for next year. We're going to do the fantasy, I think. So I let my daughter pick because she'll be aging out of the kids clubs. So it'll be her last time in the Oceaneer lab, which she absolutely loves. And I'm kind of heartbroken about that. But so I let her pick. And since she's done 2 of the newer ships, she wants to try one of the kids clubs in the older ships and to kind of compare. But the treasure was amazing. I had very high expectations for it. And pretty much all of them were met. I will say I found the food to be a little bit better on the Wish. But when I say that, I want to emphasize that the food was very good.
Yeah.
So
I had the best steak of my life on 1923 on the Wish. So
yeah.
For me, high standards, right?
So it's the same. It's the same class of ship. It's just the theming is different. The color palette is different. And they have completely different entertainment options. Right. I think the entertainment options on this ship were way better than what was offered on the Wish. But again, you have to keep in mind that the Wish is a 3 or 4 night destination. And the Treasure is now only cruising 7-night itineraries. So there's more opportunity there for them to offer more entertainment options, but it all kind of like went together perfectly. So they did a jungle cruise game in the Grand Hall, which was hilarious, family orientated. They did a kind of like a retelling of Aladdin. And they did an adult only Indiana Jones show in, I forgot the name of the club. I believe on the Treasure it's called Sarati. So on the Wish it's called Luna. So that was worth the price of admission right there. Just completely hilarious. The ship is gorgeous, ornate. I just couldn't. It was in my opinion, and I love, like, if you're talking about aesthetics to me, what I love Cinderella's my favorite princess. I love the whole fairy tale enchantment thing. I love that they have the wands and they do the little wish at the goodnight kiss at night, and then the wish, wishing star experience when you first board. I think that's so cute. But the Treasure just took it up a notch with everything, in my opinion. We all had a insanely fabulous time. I'm still kind of in my post-cruise depression phase, so which is why we're about to go to our next one.
Exactly. Well, and I'm kind of in my excitement phase, so I have not officially done a full Disney cruise. I had a friend who was a lighting designer on the Wish, so I got a sneak peek. So most of the entertainment wasn't happening; it was still technically in previews. So I didn't get to see any of the fun, but I had the food. That was amazing. So my family, my extended family, is on the Disney Fantasy in 20 days, like 2 or 3 weeks from now. And so I am excited because I get to experience the whole thing. I got to do a packing list, your note about all the things to bring. I'm going to have to bug you and be like, what am I missing? So hearing about the food and the entertainment, even though it's going to be different, right? Because each ship is different. Yes. I am really excited.
So let me kind of break down what we can talk about. What do you want to talk about first? We can talk about what I found helpful knowing going into this the second time, or we can talk about the differences between the two classes, because I have
let's start there, because I don't think many people realize that, like, I mean, people think like a cruise ship is a cruise ship, but Disney kind of switched things up recently with this Wish class and made a different product. It's a very different product. And I think you were really helpful earlier talking about the Wish is designed for 4 days, so it's slightly less entertainment. And then the 7-day Treasure, they're different ships, but even within the larger ship, all of the different Disney ships are there's a different class, and so there's different things. So I think it would be helpful because, like, I don't know what cruise ship to do. Like, it would be helpful to understand the differences of the classes.
So the first thing I always ask clients too is like, what matters to you? Most people that are looking for a DCL, or that come to me for a Disney cruise are doing it because they want to cruise Disney, either because they heard about how awesome the kids clubs were, or just the service, or they love Disney. I would say there's no other cruise line that can compete if you have young families, young children. The kids clubs on the other cruise lines don't even remotely come close. Yeah. So what I ask, because Disney only has so they have the Wish was ship 5 and the Treasure ship 6. So they have 6 ships. So compared to other cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, who I believe has upwards of 20 plus, they're going to have more itineraries. Mm-hmm. So Disney does switch it up a bit. So we were looking at the Fantasy actually for next year. And it's only cruising, I think, in the fall so basically I think in the winter months it's in the Caribbean and then it moves to Europe. Mm. So they do switch it up. So, but most people come to me for a Disney cruise because they want to experience a cruise and not necessarily itinerary. And some people come and they're like, oh, we love Disney cruises. We want to go to Europe. We see the Fantasies going to Europe and such. We want to be on that ship. Okay. So it just depends. Disney's when they first came out with their ships, for me, like seeing those ships and then seeing the new class of ships, I feel like the initial ships they came out with, the 4 original ships, were Disney inserting themselves into the cruise space, a pre-existing cruise space. Those ships are designed very differently. They're themed very differently. I would say they're more subtle on the Disney touches than the newer class of ships. This is like, for lack of a better comparison, it's like Titanic style luxury with nautical touches, right? Which you would expect because you're on the ocean, so nautical theming. With Disney touches here and there, Disney art on the walls. Even the dining rooms are not, except for Animator's Palette, they're not overtly in your face. Disney. Whereas on the other class of ships, it's like when I walked onto the Wish and saw the difference, I said to myself, this is literally like almost like a floating theme park or a floating castle. When I walked onto the Treasure, I was like, this ship is for somebody that loves the parks because of all the themed lounges that are happening right now. And it's very much, it's just very different. So I feel like their newer class of ships, they up the ante a little bit. But I feel like this is their reimagining of what a Disney cruise ship is. So there's a difference. My friends who are avid Disney cruisers, and I knew this going in. I said, we kind of had planning meetings and I said, a lot of the criticisms for the newer ships are that they don't like the changes from the older ships. They like the older ship layout better, the pool situation better. So what their final verdict was, they absolutely loved the Treasure. They thought it was gorgeous, luxurious, good service. They come to know and love from Disney. They had dings for the food. They said the food was better on the Fantasy, which I had dings a little. And again, let me be clear. The food is fabulous. Yeah. We're just holding it to a very high level expectation because let's be real, Disney cruises are expensive. So, but I'm not talking about like, oh, the food was unedible, we had to send it back. No, everybody enjoyed their meals very much. We had a great time. We all enjoyed the food, especially lobster night. So I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, there's lobster night on your second night of 1923 on the Treasure is lobster night. It was awesome. They actually de-shelled it. So you want to feel like the ultimate bougie. They come around like, wait, we're going to de-shell it for you. And then they come around with warm butter.
I want to go on this ship.
So they love the older ship layouts. So the main difference is like ships like the Fantasy, your elevator situation is going to be located at midship. On the newer class of ship, you only have aft situation elevators. So if you want to go up and down and that the grand hall staircase is blocked off, you have to walk to the back of the front to then go up or down, or use the stairs because the stairs are located in the back as well to do so. Whereas on the older ships, everything is centralized. There are less pools on the older ships, but they like the fact that there are less pools because they are larger pools. Here on the Treasure, they have now, I think, about 6 pools of varying lengths, which I personally think is nice because not everybody likes a deep pool on a cruise. There are deep pools on the Treasure. They're just located in the back, and they like Mickey ears. So if you're not in the back with them, you can't see your kids. So that was her kind of like call out. And they are small. They're circular, like mouse ears. And there's one on each side of the ship. And then you kind of have like wading pools down all around. So it's almost like a catch-22. I think it's nice because it gives people that maybe don't, can't swim as good, just kind of like want a relaxing experience. Like they're kind of like wading pools. So my kids could swim in some of the wading pools because they are deeper, but they're not like, you're not going under and like having a full swim experience. And they have multiple levels for the adults to kind of like sit and relax and still kind of get your bottom half wet, but not be fully, which I thought was nice, but they prefer the other one. I have yet to I don't have an opinion. What? What'd you say? I'm sorry.
Sorry, it's just enough like to sunbathe. Like you're in the water, but you're not like in the water. Yeah. It's like the ledge. Okay.
Yeah. So and they have multiple pools like that. But if you like, on the Fantasy, they said like they prefer having a larger, deeper pool. That was just a call out. But they thought the entertainment was better on the ship, from the Broadway plays to the shows that they offer and the different lounges. She had older children, so they didn't do the kids club at night. They went and watched all the different shows, the family oriented shows. There was magicians. They absolutely loved it. And then they actually premiered the new Marvel movie on the ship, the not Winter Soldier. What is it called? Captain America: Brave New World. So they actually premiered that on our ship. So started playing at midnight the night before, and then all day on Friday. And so they did that, and they loved that. But yeah, so the verdict was they would absolutely sail on the newer classes ships again. Their favorite layout, her favorite layout is the Fantasy. Her husband's favorite layout is the Dream, in terms of layout. But that's basically what they said about totally did not mind the elevator situation. She's like, it's not that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
But like I said, we all had a great time, and it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, I also think different ships will offer different things. Like if you have a child that loves Rapunzel, there's a ship for you. I mean, if you have a child that's like them, that's like a teenager, there's a specific ship that I think will work best for them because that ship has its own kind of like private teen pool area, whereas the other ships don't have that. So there's all these questions I always ask potential clients about, like what's important to them. And if it's not so much the itinerary, sometimes it's more of the ship. Like for us, it was ship and itinerary. We knew we wanted to do the newest ship because we had such a great time on the Treasure. On the Wish, rather. And so it was just deciding between the Eastern and Western Caribbean itineraries, because that's what we were doing in February. So that was it for us. Like we were just like, well, what itinerary we want to do? We know we want to be on the Treasure. Boom, on the Treasure. And yeah, it was from start to finish. It was absolutely amazing. Pirate Night is probably the best, one of the funniest experiences I've ever had anywhere. I've only ever been on one cruise before. So before I started the DCL cruising last year. So I didn't have that much to compare it to. But the fact that Disney does Pirate Night is just, and people go all out. So my husband appeared in a wig. Like I had no idea he was doing this. Basically got the kids all dressed up. I got myself dressed up. They gave us, Mickey had, pirate themed bandanas. We all went to dinner, and my husband and my friend Ken were kind of in the bathroom together. I'm like, what are you guys doing? They're like, we just need 5 minutes. I'm like, we'll meet you downstairs. So we all went downstairs dressed as pirates. The kids that were just totally in character, especially my oldest. She was like, at everybody with her little sword and, look at me, treasure, like she was all completely into it. It was so cute. And then my husband and Ken made their appearance, and thank God I had no food in my mouth because I about died. They both have like the bandanas on, black wigs, and they have, pirate themed t-shirts on, and they had covered themselves from head to toe in tattoos. And my husband's an actor, so he was like
he committed to the bit. Mm-hmm.
fully method at this point.
Wow.
The two of them ended up being so popular on the ship that they were asked to be in strange, like people's photos, like people we just met. We were in line and they're like, listen, you guys are hilarious. Would you mind jumping in our photo? It was,
he has his own meet and greet line. Oh my God.
Both of them should have. They were hilarious. Yeah, but also that's what I love about a cruise too, especially, I don't know how it is. Like I said, I only had one other cruise. I cruised on Carnival one other time, but you meet so many people from different walks of life. It's such a cool vibe. People just want to get to know each other. People want to hang out. You're all laughing and experiencing this together. The other thing on the ship that is also on all the other ships, which I thought was hilarious, besides Pirate Night, was Jack's Diaper Dash. I never thought I'd have so much fun watching little adorable babies race across a mat to see, crawl across the mat to see who can cross the finish line first. Hilarious.
The problem is, we've got a nephew who is now walking, and I think he's disqualified from being in the diaper dash, and I'm so bummed. I wanted him to be part of it.
They're not supposed to be walking, so they're not supposed to be walking at all. They, some people don't follow the rules. If the baby is still crawling, and I think I saw a video actually on YouTube of somebody's baby who won and then got up and walked to their parents.
So what do you win? Is it bragging rights or is it?
It's Disney. You know how they are. Everybody gets a bib, a cute little, Incredibles bib, which is adorable. And I think they just win a certificate and a little medal. I mean, it's so cute, but they'll introduce the babies. They'll talk about what their favorite things are and where they're from. They'll interview the babies. And, sometimes you'll get a reaction from the baby and it's so cute. And then everybody just goes, raise those babies. You do a countdown. It's raise those babies. And it's just, everybody's clapping for them. It's just hilarious and funny. And I don't know, it's a great community thing. So they have that on the fantasy. Definitely prepare. I would say go all in on Pirate Night. It's so much fun. Do both parties. They have one that's more geared for smaller littles. And Disney adults, which Mickey and Friends, it's adorable. And then they have one that is more the for adults, but also it also concludes with the fireworks show. So if you have little kids that can't stay up, just keep that in mind because the fireworks are not at both parties. It's the second pirate party, which is on the Treasure and the Wish, is more of a rock band experience. I think it's different I believe it is different on the fantasy. So that was my favorite night on the ship. It was so much fun because everybody just got into it. And it's just a great community thing. I don't know. I met so many people on the, because there are moments when you're by yourself. I was walking to get a cup of coffee in the morning and I just start talking to people about their experiences, about what they like. And yeah, it was just a great time. Disney Cruise Line is definitely a vibe and I love the vibe. Speaking of vibes, the Haunted Mansion thing is probably one of the greatest Imagineering things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It is fully immersive, completely detailed. There's a whole storyline. So if you're either cruising on the Treasure or the Destiny, it's going to be on the Destiny as well. You can ask the bartenders little tidbits here and there, and they will kind of tell you the story. It is awesome on every level. I wish they had this in the parks. It was just awesome, just amazing. If you're a fan of the Haunted Mansion or just themed lounges in general, it's just really fun. I mean, there's a lot of that's what my friend said too. They love the nightlife better on the newer ships. They thought the bars were better because the bars are all. If you're a Disney person, the bars on the Treasure are all they're all Disney themed. So you have the Haunted Mansion bar, you have the Jungle Cruise bar called the Skipper Society, and then you have the Scat Cat Lounge, which is themed after the Aristocats. They have my favorite drinks, and then you had the Periscope Pub, which is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea themed, and they actually filmed the fish from the Seas with Nemo and Friends, and every now and then you can see like a shadow of a shark or some other adorable sea creature kind of swimming over your head, and that's actually those are real shadows from the actual fish that are in the Seas with Nemo and Friends at the parks, which I thought was so cool. So yeah. And then a lot of the bars too have their own signature cocktails, their own signature drinks. Disney Cruise Line makes its own beer, which is one of my husband's favorite things. So, and then the Periscope Pub also had its own signature kind of beer selection. So that was really cool, especially if you like craft beers and things like that, which my husband loves. So we have just great things to say about all of it. But like you can sit in the Haunted Mansion parlor for hours. We always found ourselves there. Even if we weren't, they have plenty of non-alcoholic options too. We brought the kids in one night dressed in their Haunted Mansion attire. They wore the maids' outfits.
Oh, cute.
They also have they have replicas of the headband, and they've named their bats as well. So I think my oldest names her bat Batty, and then the youngest named her bat Dolores.
Not with the theme, doesn't matter, but Dolores. Okay.
So yes, and if you're ever in the parks and you are also a Haunted Mansion fan or you're just an enthusiast, you can always ask the caretakers what their bats' names because they name their bats. So
they do that for the Halloween party too. When you see everyone running around in their Halloween outfits for the parties, everybody has named their bat. So that's like a fun little thing.
So we were in the parks a few days before, and they have custom Haunted Mansion dresses that I bought from another retailer that are almost like identical to what the cast members are wearing. So they got called out as being late to work. And I know. So they were telling them, they're like, what's your bat's name? And so their bat's name, so the two that I thought was hysterical was Cleopatra and Batney Spears.
I think I heard of Bartholomew.
Oh yeah.
Like that was a fun one. They're hilarious. Oh, I just love the creativity, and that's what it's about. It's about having fun in no matter whether you've got I went on the Disney cruise and I was with a friend, but I didn't take a kid, and I had a grand old time. So my husband and I Mike and I are very excited about the trip. We're excited to go with family. I was telling you before, we're doing a couple of days in Disney and then getting on the ship. But I'm just excited to go hang out.
You're doing a shorter cruise too, right?
It's 4 nights.
Yeah, that's the perfect. I think especially since you're a first-time cruiser, and if you have any kind of like qualms or concerns about cruising to begin with, starting with a 3 or 4 night or 5 night is
we've definitely done some we've done Virgin voyages. They are adult only. We've done I've done a Carnival back in the day. I think I've done a Royal Caribbean. But this is, like I said, our first official foray into Disney Cruise, and we've been talking to our friends or some clients about Disney Cruise. That's why we're really excited to experience it.
Yeah, it's definitely awesome. We had a great time.
What's your one? You're looking at Treasure next year or Fantasy next year?
Fantasy. I let Emma pick. We really enjoy cruising in February. It gives us a break. I'm in the Northeast. It gives us a break from the cold weather. The weather on the ships. I know this sounds so silly, but I hate sweating.
It's gross.
I don't like it. And I'm not necessarily like a water bug either. So it's nice to just kind of lay out on the deck, and it's warm enough to where you're comfortable. But it's not overly warm to where you're uncomfortable.
I love it. Do you see what this dog is doing? Look at this. This dog is like decided to like chill out. For those who are watching on video, we put this out. Like she's just lying on the floor. Like, Gadget, you okay? Okay, presumably she's okay.
She's so cute.
She's just asleep. It's my rescue pit bull behind me.
Um,
But yeah, I'm really excited. I was so excited to hear about your adventure on the Treasure, and I'm like, now it's making me want to look at the bigger ship. So I'm glad we're going to go see one of the classic ships. But I think the way you described it is super helpful. Like the Disney has kind of finally come into their. This is a theme park on water. This is just like the difference between ocean liner, like, the Queen Mary 2 is an ocean liner. It is a transatlantic crossing. It is not a cruise. It's a different product. It's a different experience. And I think that's helpful to think when you're looking at options.
Yeah. I thought, they said this is like the Treasure and the Wish are the largest, in the fleet. They're actually making another class of ships, which is going to be between the Magic class and the Wish class. And I think the max capacity for those ships is going to be in the 3,000 passenger range. Okay. So the Magic and the Wonder, I think they top out at a little over 2,000. And then there's the new class of ships that's coming out in the next couple of years that are going to be between the two bigger ones. I will say that they said that the Treasure felt larger. I don't know how much larger it is exactly, but I believe like passenger capacity is only slightly more than the Fantasy. The Fantasy staterooms are also larger than what is on the Wish. They're either larger, or because of how they have redesigned the storage situation, they feel slightly smaller. But nothing, like I said, nothing was like a deal breaker. And here's the thing: do you guys have connecting staterooms for your family?
I don't think so. We're near each other. We might be connecting. I can't remember.
Connecting staterooms can request that their steward take down the white wall, so you have one large balcony. I had no idea. My girlfriend that was cruising with us did, thank God. And it was, so when she got to the room, she, you'll see her steward. Those individuals work so hard, and the service is so impeccable that I'm always like, yes, you're getting extra tips.
You get all the extras. Yeah, I think we're Ocean. Now that you mentioned that, I don't think we're veranda because of the kiddos. I think a family member was concerned about the veranda. So I think we're Ocean View.
Oh, still beautiful.
Still, I'm just excited to be able to see the ocean when I wake up. I'm excited.
No, that was my favorite. That was my favorite cruise memory, actually. From the first time we cruised as a family on the Wish. My kids woke up and we pulled back the curtains, and they were in their little bunk beds staring out at palm trees and Nassau as the ship slowly pulled in. They thought it was the most amazing thing they've ever seen. They couldn't believe like they were in a different place. It was awesome. So that's one of my most favorite memories. This time around, we didn't use our veranda as much as I had hoped on the first cruise, but this time around, I'm like, I'm having my coffee on the veranda. And we did it on a few port days. Jamaica was my favorite because it was the most scenic and gorgeous. I was not expecting to be surrounded by mountains like that. It was absolutely breathtaking. And a little tip for me is if you have a port excursion early in the morning, make sure that they have a little breakfast thing that you can do, like a little door hanger that has to be out by, I think, 1 or 2 a.m. They give you plenty of time. So I usually do it before we're going to bed, and you fill out what you want. But you make sure you don't just check the box. You have to put the number of, so if it's like coffees, put 2 coffees. If it's two juice. If you want bagel, put 1 bagel, 1 croissant. And then you just leave it out. And then it'll have like different blocks of time that you can request. And they were there like 5 minutes early. So when we had our excursion in Falmouth, like I said, I was very determined to have my coffee in the morning on the balcony. We did breakfast there. So kind of saved us some time from going to, not that I don't love Marceline's, but it saved us some time. The kids were able to eat right away. It was a little bit more relaxing. They brought us our breakfast around 7 a.m. We had hot coffee. We sat outside. They had a little table situation going on. I sat outside on my gorgeous balcony, and we all ate our breakfasts before we went to swim with dolphins. It was awesome. Oh, man.
Room service is included, right?
Room service is included. Yeah. You just pay, like for most things on the ships. So if you get a drink, they'll tack on gratuity. If you order room service, they'll tack on 18% gratuity. And then if you order beverages, they tack on that too. But the breakfast is totally separate situation. So the coffee, the juices, the thing that was all included. But if you order room service at night and you want a can of soda or a bottle of water, I think it's like $1.
Okay.
So nothing crazy. But my biggest thing for you guys is to, which I didn't do the first time, is to pay attention to the ship's itinerary.
Okay.
So the second you're at the port, do the connect to port option in the app, connect your port, and then see where you are for dinner. It'll show you your table number, where you're at for dinner the first night, and then start looking at the daily itinerary for the kids club, because they have specific things. Because I know you travel with younger kids too.
Yeah, I got a nephew who's 12 and a niece who's 4, and then a baby.
So the 12-year-old will have kind of like free reign to check himself in and out of Edge. But they still list the daily activities for them. So, but if the little one, the 4-year-old, is obsessed with Belle or story time or Mickey, or she likes to dance or crafts, they will have that all in the daily itinerary. So they have something going on as early as, I believe, 7 or 7:30 a.m. they start. So, we kind of like got into a routine where the kids would only go to the kids club, maybe after dinner or right before dinner, after we had finished swimming and showered. And we kind of neglected the first time to really read that itinerary. And I made that our priority now. So I could let them decide, like, do you want to go to Marvel Superhero Academy or do you want to come swimming? And then they decided to do the Marvel Superhero Academy, because they have different events for different things. So if you have a Star Wars obsessed kid, anything like that, they'll have something for them. So you got to really pay attention to it though. And then kind of plot out what you want to do show-wise. Because what they do is for the 2 seatings, they'll have, if you're on the later seating, you go to the show first.
Right.
If you're on the earlier seating, you'll go to your dinner, and then you'll go to the show after. So they kind of accommodate everybody that way. But if you don't know to look, you're going to be kind of like blindsided, and there are things that you may miss. So just pay attention to the daily itinerary.
Yeah, I think we're early dining, which I think is helpful for the kiddos. But yeah, no, this is super helpful. I know we'll continue to dig in, and that's what's exciting about learning. Like, we know Disney parks really well, so it's exciting to hear from other people who have done the cruise line part of it, and like, what can we pull and how can we go experience it. So I'm really excited. You're getting me excited about my cruise in like 18 days. I'm so excited. I gotta go start packing. What else do you have going on outside of travel? What's going on with the kiddos? How are they?
They're great. Emma is doing well. I believe I mentioned on my first podcast, I have an older child with developmental disabilities. She's very well taken care of in school. We couldn't be happier with the school she's at. She's got an IEP. She's got accommodations now for general education. So her confidence has improved. Her grades have improved. Her socialization, mood, everything has improved. So I'm very, very happy that situation is going on. The kids had an amazing time on vacation. They keep talking about it. They made so many friends. So we're about to start soccer season in a few weeks. So it's so funny because like we have people that once spring comes, it's like everybody comes out of the woodwork, like, let's get dinner, let's do this. But I have to wait until the soccer schedule comes out, as most sports parents can relate to, that your life is now not your own. Your child plays any type of sports on the weekends. So both my kids are soccer kiddos. It was great for Emma to be involved in something like that, because she also dances. but dance is very hard for her. The soccer comes more naturally. So she's very excited that that's starting. And then we're just going to get ready to do, we're renovating the house. So that's happening. So yeah. So in a couple of weeks, I will have cabinets all over the kitchen floor and all the good stuff that comes with owning a home. Happening. And by good stuff, I mean, being completely sarcastic. But that comes with home ownership. So, and my house is 100 years old. So, what about you? Besides the cruise,
we have.
So I don't know. I don't think you mentioned this. You have a wedding business, a linen business.
Yeah. So we have two other businesses in addition to the travel agency. I'm a wedding planner here in St. Louis. And so it's wedding season, wedding show season, leading quickly into weddings. People don't really get married in St. Louis in January. So that's when we do all of our shows to build business. And then with husband and I, we also own a luxury linen rental business. So again, for galas and weddings and celebrations. So we were doing all the wedding shows, and now we're executing a bunch of weddings and styled shoots. So it's like when we do a fake wedding just to get pretty pictures so we can control the whole design. So yeah, I mean, who needs those pesky clients in the photo? No, it's very helpful because that way we can focus on the design and getting the photos of our vendors doing the cool work that they're doing versus let's take a moment and mess up someone's wedding day, like to get the photo. So we're in the middle of like styled shoot season, lots of shows, lots of advertising. Yeah. So like all of that's happening. And again, spring, I was going to say it's springtime, but it's snowing here. It's snowing in St. Louis today. So
we're about, I just got an alert on my computer. We're about like 2 hours away from horrific storms. So, but usually
send that on to you.
So,
so hopefully we'll get this done before all this happens. But yeah, life is moving. Like I said, we're in Disney in 18 days, which is always fun. So I'm going to go update my packing list with all the things that you're telling me to add to my list. I probably will be emailing you or texting you and being like, hi, what else do I take? But that's part of the fun of working with travel agents.
Right. Well, I think packing cubes are pretty much a must.
I go back and forth. Like, yes, they're needed, but I don't know. We're doing different bags this trip because we're doing the parks stay for 2 days, and I have 2 hotel nights. Don't get me started. So we're doing basically carry-on for the park stays and then packing all the sunscreen and hopefully being able to get to it when we land because it's March. We need sunscreen. And then we'll have a separate bag that's like only cruise stuff. So that's kind of
that's smart. That's what we did. I have to organize everything in packing cubes because I organize it by like category because I'm insane. So like
you also have child, right? You have the child
evening wear, all that stuff. Yeah. But it also keeps the clothes relatively confined and wrinkle free if you fold them a certain way. And I feel like with cubes, with certain styles of cubes, you can pack more than you would be. Like I actually experimented packing everything, leaving it out.
Yeah.
And just kind of like rolling it up. And I was able to fit way more in a cube and then put the cube in. And I buy cubes that are like perfectly fit into the suitcase. So they're sized for the suitcase. Yeah. But yeah, we live out of packing cubes on cruises because I don't like to unpack. I made that mistake last time. And you have to be fully packed with your bags out of your stateroom door by 10 p.m. So if you don't
want to walk off with your bags, which
you can walk off with your luggage. I prefer not to because it is quite a long walk, and then you're in line, and then getting off the ship, and then going. If you're going to go to breakfast in the morning, you have to find a place for your bags because once you leave your stateroom is you're out of it. So it's not like you can leave your bags, go to breakfast, come back for your bags. You have to take your bags with you. So we just put our big suitcase, our large suitcase, and most of our carry-ons were left outside, except for our essentials. So we basically have one carry-on and my husband's backpack and the kids' backpacks and my tote that we walked off the ship. And then we found everything else. Very relatively quickly. I would say the customs process was way easier this time. They do facial recognition now. So you have to have your passports handy, but we didn't need them.
Did you just walk through? You like saw the thing and walk through?
You literally have you go in a line, you get your luggage and go in the customs line, and then you stand in front of the camera. It's like literally X marks the spot, and then the camera will scan your face, and then that's it. You just go.
That's what happened in Miami, and it was terrifying.
So I mean, it is slightly terrifying, but it was awesome because then we were out. We were done, and it was.
I guess I should say this is for Americans traveling on a USA passport coming back into a USA port. Like, I'm sure it was different if we were like not traveling on a United States passport.
Yeah, I mean, I've never this is like baby step for us. Emma is like she has sensory issues with sand, and traveling is hard, and being on a longer plane rides are hard. So this was like last year was kind of like our test run, and she did great and loved it and wanted to do it again. I made some improvements for her this time around. One of them was getting a wetsuit, which she wasn't thrilled by either. She didn't like the feeling of it. However, it kept the sand out, and it also warmed the water for her whenever she went into the ocean or the pools. So that kind of overrode any of the other sensory issues she had with the feeling of the fabric. She doesn't like certain feelings. She doesn't like certain fabrics. She doesn't like certain textures. So she did great. But the other big thing would be magnetic hooks.
Yeah.
Because your staterooms are magnetic. And that's the thing that's lacking. There's not a lot of hanging storage.
Right.
So you have a closet, but you're not going to hang like lanyards and wetsuits in it. And they do have a clothesline in the shower, just like they do in the resorts. However, because the bathrooms in the cabins are not vented, it takes a very long time for your swimwear to dry. Right. So, and they obviously discourage you from leaving anything on if you did have a balcony, they discourage you from leaving anything on it to dry. So what I did was hang the swimsuits out in the cabin because it had more air flow. They still took a while to dry. So I would say bring at least 2 swimsuits.
That's the plan.
I bought 4.
But you went for longer than me, so that's okay.
No, I know. Well, I bought 4 on the 7 night, and the kids had 3. Yeah. So, because there's no way my daughter would ever get it back into a wet swimsuit. But all else fails, the laundry on these ships is high tech and amazing. And the dryers are like 10 minutes long, and you select, they weigh your stuff, and you can select the mode, and your stuff will be dry in 10 minutes. So if you had to, you could totally just throw them in the dryer. But yeah, just keep in mind there's literally no ventilation in there. Yeah. So we use our magnetic hooks for swimwear, goggles, lanyards, things of that nature. And I would suggest buying at least 6, if not 8. And then if you have fish extenders, you can even do the magnets on the outside and put your fish extender.
We skipped the fish. We're not doing the fish extenders this time around. We're just going to experience.
We did the first time, we skipped a little bit, but I was like, oh God, the amount of adorable things we got to take home the last time. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, we're back to the hills because we were gone for 10 days. So
it's like, so we'll get into that the next time around of why people might want to do that. All right. Well, I'm going to call it because this doggo behind me is like whining for a walk, even though it's snowing right now. So that's what we're going to go do. So I'm going to do our quick outro, and then we'll be off. So thank you all for joining us on The Wanderful Pair. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts once we figure that out, so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media for travel inspiration and behind the scenes fun. Time to go make some travel memories. We'll be back soon.
Bye, guys. Have a great day.
How do I do?